And we are back. Welcome back, everybody, to this live stream. This time we are here for the qualifying session here at the Brazilian Grand Prix at Interlagos. This time the conditions are dry, unlike what we saw in practice. I'm once again at JW97, and this time around I'm joined by Robert Ionescu. How are you doing?
I'm doing okay. Obviously, a little bit disheartened I did not get a seat, but nevertheless, happy to be here for the commentary, and this should be an entertaining session, Joe.
Indeed, especially given that it's a winner-take-all situation in this series between, of course, Gamba and Carr, which should be very, very exciting indeed. And a reminder...
Indeed, so. Though there is one outside scenario, of course, which would be quite crazy if it happened. If Ka finished 9th, Gamba finished 10th, and had the fastest lap, Gamba would still win despite finishing behind Ka.
Yes, because they would end up scoring the same number of points, of course, and given that Gamba is ahead on countback, he would win the championship. For anybody wondering in the football, Netherlands have just beaten Qatar, so they're through to the knockout stages. They've won 2-0. The Ecuador-Senegal game is still going on according to my iPad, but given that's about 4 million years behind, I think that game might have finished by now. But anyway, we get this session underway, and I might as well ask you, Rob, who do you believe will be eliminated in the first part of qualifying?
I'm going to have to go with both the Haas drivers, both the Williams, one Aston Martin, and one AlphaTauri.
I'm going to go with both Williamses, both AlphaTauris, and I'm going to say both Hasses on this occasion. So I'm going to go 2 by 2 by 2 on this occasion. So anyway, Sontag's first on track. Verderi has joined him secondly on the racetrack. And seeing as you're here, Rob, of course, unfortunately, as everybody would have heard, unfortunately, I wasn't able to get you to do the F2 announcements this time due to the issues on my end. Hopefully, we can sort something out next season where you're back to your old role. But you've obviously just seen the F2 lineup for the first time today. What did you make of the lineup? So, in your opinion,
not as bad as some people might claim. I think. It's an interesting lineup and a lot of returning faces. Could make for an exciting season. I don't really have much more to say after than that, but I wouldn't underestimate those guys.
Yep, indeed, and I think it should be quite an exciting season, and I'm particularly looking forward to seeing what Protsu can do in a high-tech Grand Prix next season. But anyway, enough of F2 for the moment. We now have to keep an eye on the top class because Santos just started his lap, and there are cars coming out of the pits. Of course, this is a very, very short track, let's not forget, so you would expect traffic to be quite a big thing around here.
Looks like a Lamborghini, and his lap might be ruined unless that Lambo pulls away a lot, in which case it would be a bad lap for Zontag, nevertheless, but... In the first sector, he set a 17.3, I think that's said, which has been matched by Andrea Federi at the moment, but George Rowe going a whole 8/10 of a second faster.
Yep, indeed. Rowe going quicker in the first sector, doing a 16.9, that says there.
Sorry, 9. I thought it was a 5.
Yeah. As Sontag now then just coming up towards the end of the second sector. What's that going to look like? Luckily, he's not going to get held up too much by that Lamborghini. A 51.925 in the middle sector for the German. Let's see what the benchmark
That's
time
not half bad.
Let's see what the benchmark time is going to be for the man who, of course, ended up in third during the practice session, thanks to those changeable conditions. Sontag now then, across the line he goes in the Williams. What is the time going to be in the dry? A 1 minute 8.751. You should expect these lap times, of course, because it is a very, very short track. Not as short as Austria, but still quite short indeed. Verderi goes quicker by 0.3 of a second. George Roque across the line in the Red Bull. He should go quicker than both Sontag and Verderi. And he does 1 minute 7.010. Nearly broke into the 1 minute 6s there. Willows goes into second place.
I think that's better than the real life pole record. But here goes Kupak next.
Goes fifth. Griffiths goes into fifth position himself. Third for Fraser in his final race for now. Patel goes into third as Chatfield and Wilson are going to go side by side. And seventh for Wilson, third for Chatfield. It was briefly sixth for Wilson before Chatfield finished his lap, getting a bit of slipstream there from Wilson. Motrin goes seventh. Lopez goes into fifth. Gamba across the line to go into fourth. De Rosa comes across the line. He goes into seventh place. Jake Galloway across the line in the Ferrari, and he goes into 10th. He was side by side with Quag, who, thanks to a bit of slipstream, went up into third there with that lap. Amar Khan won the championship contenders, crosses the line, and only 10th place for him at the moment, behind contender Gamba at the moment, as Perinen goes into 7th, pushes Carr outside the top 10, as Byrne crosses the line to go into 6th position. Julius Anderson crosses the line, and he goes 10th for the moment. As here comes Miklos Gal in the AlphaTauri, and he goes into 18th as Chung goes into 9th. So at the moment, Roke is at the top of the timing sheet, but a lot of slipstreaming on that first lap there, Rob.
Yeah, absolutely right. And that down in sector 3 can be quite big in getting a good lap time. For Khan, meanwhile, it doesn't matter if he's in front of or behind Gamba this session. All that matters is to get to the next session, to get to Q2. And it looks like he will get to Q2 at the moment. Though it is a little bit shaky. I think he might want an improvement there because 14th place at the moment. Now it is looking a little bit dangerous if he makes a mistake on one of his laps and other people improve. He might be eliminated.
Indeed, and an update on the football. Senegal are through to the knockout stages after beating Ecuador. So Ecuador are now out of the tournament as a result, along with Qatar. So Netherlands and Ecuador, not Ecuador, Netherlands and Senegal are through to the knockout stages. So well done to them. But away from the football now, because the next match is on at 7. This will be finished before 7 o'clock. Well, should be anyway. But yeah, as that's that. At the moment of the drop zone, we have Motrin, Wilson, Gal, Sontag, Griffiths, and Kupok. Carr only 14th on his first lap there. I wonder if his lap was just a bit poor, or whether he just lacked a little bit from the lack of slipstream. Because you could see with Roman Quarg, of course, slipstream does actually help you down that pit straight.
Yep, indeed, and a very long flat-out section all the way from the explosion south to the first corner. And getting a good amount of tow there after those boxes, left-hand kink, can really come a long way. Yeah, we've seen it not just in the top class, I mean GP2 as well. That assist from the tow, from slipstream, can be quite massive. It'll net you a few tenths, which is make or break here, given how short the track is.
Indeed, as Chung gets wheeled back into the garage, but also going out on track straight away, not wasting any time, is Andre Videri in the Alfa Romeo. His teammate Roman Quarg up in 3rd position, and of course, not obviously this is Videri's last race at Alfa Romeo, along with Quarg's last race as well for Alfa Romeo. Of course, Alfa Romeo will be having a brand new lineup in the form of Bence Valdinger and Amelia Wilson, who will enter her final season before her 2-season sabbatical from 2023. So it would mean that Alfa Romeo would have at least one new driver for 2020 for the 2023 season. So Videri out on track and looking to see if he can match what Quarg did a little bit earlier on. Of course, Videri, let's not forget earlier on, surprisingly topped the session, the final practice session of the season, thanks to the changeable conditions. And, well, I guess he was kind of celebrating that one, given the car he's in.
Yeah, indeed, but he didn't have too much time to rest on his laurels. The guys had to get back in the cars for qualifying, and at the moment, Federi 16th isn't really a surprise, but what I would say is a big surprise is Jake Galloway all the way down in 15th in that Ferrari. Ferrari have been incredible in the second half of the season. They still haven't tried the team's title, but right now in qualifying they're shaky. At least one of them is.
Yep, indeed, as Videri starts his second flying lap. Of course, this lap we see it from the outboard perspective. Will Videri get any traffic as he comes out of turn 3? And the answer to that is no, surprisingly. He actually get a bit of a clearer run than what Sontag did a little bit earlier on. Although, having said that, Sontag didn't really get held up too much by the Lamborghini in front. 58 thousandths up in the first sector for Videri, so he is up on his personal best. But of course, there is only one major braking zone at the first sector, and that's of course turn 1. Obviously turn 2 you have to lift off a little bit, and turn 3 is obviously flat out, so not really much in the first sector. It's mainly the middle and last sector where you gain all of your time, really. Well, mainly the middle sector, I should say. The last sector,
of course, in the last sector, straight line speed performance is the big factor, and in that Ferrari PU in the back of the Alpha, I wouldn't expect too much straight line speed, as Federi is still up for the middle sector, but he only gained 7,000 up to 600 quicker than his personal best, so he might improve. He might improve on his position, but I'm not so sure. We'll have to wait and see if he can go up a place or two.
Now then, across the line, let's see what he can do. And he goes 15th, only gains a place as Chatfield, Galloway's teammate, is just starting a lap, and he'll probably get benefit from the slipstream of Videri in front. Only briefly, though, because of course Videri is coming into the pit, and it looks like there's a big traffic jam for him behind Fraser, which consists of a Williams and, of course, Franco Gama. That Williams, I think, is Felix Sontag, who's trying to get by on Fraser into the first corner. Fraser crosses the line and doesn't improve, but Sontag does. He did actually lose some slipstream, and he goes up into 15th position, pushes Galloway now into the drop zone. Motrin goes up to 14th. Willows goes second thanks to some slipstream from Evan Byrne. 6th place for Amelia Wilson. A good time from her there in the Haas. Here comes Kirishima De Rosa again using the benefit of slipstream. He goes into 6th now, gets in front of Amelia Wilson. Carr is just teetering in that top 16 threshold. Griffiths up on his personal best. Across the line he goes, and he goes 12th. Lopez goes up into 21st.
You meant
I should say.
31st.
Sixth for Lopez. I got the two numbers the wrong way around. Chatfield is getting held up by Videri, and I think he's going to get held up a little bit more by him because, of course, Videri is coming into the pits at the end of this lap. He will see Videri peel to the left very soon, which he does. So Chatfield will have to go around the Alfa Romeo there, and that's going to impact his lap a little bit there. Luckily, he's up in 4th, so he's not in too much danger. Kupok and I think that's Patel are going side by side. And Patel improves thanks to that and goes into 3rd position. Carr up on his personal best. He needs to improve, and he crosses the line, but only 16th.
This is a surprise. He stays in 16th fastest.
6 for Perrinan. Garma crosses the line, no improvement. He stays where he is. Galloway stays in the drop zone. He's still 17th, so he wasn't able to get out of that drop zone there. Byrne crosses the line, does not improve and stays where he is. Anderson currently holding up a McLaren there, but I think that McLaren is going into the pits, that being Kirishima DeRosa, and he is. Anderson crosses the line, doesn't improve and stays where he is, which is P13. Gal, who's currently in the drop zone in 20th, stays 20th for the moment. Both AlphaTauris still in the drop zone as we speak. They are these runs done with. But yeah, Carr and Galloway surprisingly struggling, Rob.
Yeah, it's quite a big shocker, I'm going to be honest. And obviously, Mercedes this season have been notorious for not being there in qualifying. They didn't get pole this season, not even once. And they're pretty bad in qualifying. But seeing a Ferrari in the drop zone is quite something, especially given how well they were doing in the second half of the season. But Galloway and Ka, I think both of them are going to need to push massively for an improvement. Maybe risk going out in some sort of traffic to try to get the toe in the last sector, which could help a lot. Though, of course, if they get it wrong, it will harm their laps massively. So I'll have to wait and see. What would you do in that type of situation? Would you risk trying to get the toe just to make it through? And the risk being impeded at the same time, or just try to go out in clean air as Laura Chung is doing right now? I wonder.
You really need a balance of both, really. You don't want to be close up behind the car during the main part of the lap, but you want to be close behind that car by the time you get to that last sector. So you really need a balance of both, really. And I don't know which one I would prefer, to be honest with you, because they both have their strengths and weaknesses, really. Yeah, I honestly don't know which one I personally go for, to be honest with you. It's a bit of a lottery, really, on that one.
The real best answer would be start a lap 1.5 seconds going into the top post, 1.5 seconds behind one of the slowest cars, and catch that guy by the time you get out of the last corner and get a bunch of slipstream. That would be the ideal scenario. It would be held up minimally, but of course, nothing is really perfect, and you can't get things like that sorted out in racing. You just gotta go out there and give your best lap, as Laura Chung is going to try to do to improve her position.
Indeed, Chung coming down the pit straight now, then, and let's see what she is going to do. I don't think it will be her final lap. I think it might be a penultimate lap, given how short this track is. But it kind of really depends on if she's going to get traffic. I think she actually got left behind on the previous occasion.
Judging by her lap count.
She did. So this
had a little bit of a moment into turn 3. Could cost her a few hundredths of a second there, but we'll see at the first sector split she is down.
Down by 0.2 of a second on Rogue and 26 thousandths down on her personal best at this point in time, as Chung makes her way up the hill. Sontag has just emerged behind. Of course, Williams will be having Lamborghini engines from next season. So again, Sontag getting behind a Lamborghini there, and he might actually get held up by the Lamborghini if he is not careful. And wouldn't bode well, considering, as mentioned, of course, Williams are having those engines from next season, so it wouldn't do their start of the relationship very, very well. As Chung makes her way down the flat out, she's made a little bit of an error there. You just saw a twitch. She was actually up on a personal best.
Despite that, she's up, even though she understood a little bit into the saw.
I wonder if that's going to cost her a bit, though, because I wonder if that continued going into Young Cow there, as Chung is currently in 12th. Let's see what happens. She's now going to cross the line, and she is down on her personal best as a result. So that mistake into Young Cow definitely costing her then when she went purple.
Oh, yes, absolutely.
The middle sector. So still P12 for the Chinese drivers. We look at Kirishima DeRosa now in the McLaren, who's just making his way towards the hairpin. Flicks the car in through the right-hander and now making his way down towards the flat-out left-hander. He will go now then as the middle sector time. He is three. Is that says two? Does that say 5 tenths down in the middle sector? I think it does say that compared to his personal best. So De Rosa, who's currently in ninth position, not looking at an improvement at this stage as De Rosa makes his way onto the pit straight and across the line. He will now go. He's actually got Patel who's trying to get by him into the first corner. De Rosa doesn't improve with Patel starts his lap. Motrin up on his personal best, but he's got Galloway trying to get by him into the first corner there. Motrin crosses the line and improves to go 14th for the time being now. Then this car will be starting his lap very, very soon as
Zonta looks like he's going to get off tow here.
He's up on his personal best in the middle sector by a tenth, I think that said. So let's see what happens. He could actually push Carr into the drop zone here. Let's see. As Sontag now then comes down the pitch straight and across the line will come the German driver. And he goes 18th, actually. So he loses a little bit in the last sector. So
Still safe.
Verderi crosses the line. He stays 18th for the moment. He's still in the drop zone at this stage. Gets in front of Sontag. As a result, here comes Joseph Willows in the McLaren. It doesn't look like he's on an improvement. But let's see, as Willows is now coming across the line and he does not improve. Lopez crosses the line now then in the Mercedes and does not improve as Roke is about to overtake him into the first corner there, but he didn't improve either. Chatfield doesn't improve. Quark doesn't improve either. He stays in 4th.
Griffiths.
Griffiths is up on his personal best, but only into 17th, not able to push Carr into the drop zone. Wilson goes up into 10th as Patel is getting held up by a McLaren here who's coming into the pit, and Patel's lap is down the toilet as a result, but luckily he's up in 3rd position, so I don't think he's going to worry too much about that, and he stays in 3rd.
Where's Sky Galloway on the track, I wonder? This will be the last chance judgment time we have left. Perrin doesn't improve. Here we have Galloway who is down and has dropped out of the session. He'll be eliminated. Doesn't have enough time left.
I think so indeed, as Byrne goes up into 3rd position. What has happened to Carr? Because I didn't see him cross the line. No, he's still on his lap, never mind, but he's down on his personal best. Garma goes up into 2nd meanwhile, 8,000s off teammate Roke. Carr, across the line he goes, and he stays in 16th, as Kupok is up on his personal best, but only 22nd for the moment. So given how much everybody is struggling to improve in the bottom 6, I think Carr might do enough to just scrape through into Q2
I think that might be it, because I'm not sure the other drivers in the bottom 6 are all going to get there in time. Maybe Gal, because Gal didn't go... Gal stayed in the pits on this front, so Gal will get one more run. He could be the one to knock out Ka, but it's a woeful Q1 for Amar Kai. If he can make it through Q2, he'll definitely need to find much better form than that, because he's been absolutely struggling here. Same case for Jay Galloway. I don't think anybody expected the Ferrari getting eliminated in Q1. Nobody had that in their predictions card, I guess, and quite a surprise. There's nothing Galloway can do unless he goes out again in time, which I doubt, because he's still out on track, let's not forget.
Indeed, as Laura Chung now then makes her way out of the pit lane now then.
Now Galloway's coming to the pits, but they're not going to get it refueled and right out track in time.
Chung is going to do one more flying lap before the session comes to a close. I think Anderson has just come out on track, has he? Or no, he hasn't. He's still making his way back into pit lane, just looking at the mini map. So Chung still...
I'm expecting Gal to go out as well. He could be the one that changes the entire complexion of this championship hunt, of course.
It's just there's a car coming out on track, judging from the mini map. Is that Miklos Gal or is that somebody else? And it is not Miklos Gal. It's in fact Kirishima De Rosa that's just gone out onto the track. Although
there's another car going out now. Is that going to be Gal? Because I think that guy is going to be the last one who gets to have a flying lap.
And it is not Gal. It's in fact Roland Motrin. So
I think
Car is safe then, so he can count his lucky stars on that one, but he does need to find something in the last 2 sessions, well, in the next session, if he wants to be close to Gamba and have any chance of fighting for the title come tomorrow.
And Jay Galloway, who finished on the podium in Abu Dhabi, is now down in 18th on the grid. My goodness me.
As Chung is up on her personal best in the first sector, so Chung will make her way around the long swooping right-hander now, then making her way towards the hairpin. But yeah, in terms of Jake Galloway, of course, Ferrari do have an outside shot of winning the Constructors' Championship, but they need both drivers really to score points. And while Galloway down in 18th, that's not going to do them any favours if they had any chance of winning the Constructors, Rob.
Winning the Constructors for Ferrari was already going to be hard. With Galway down in 18th on the grid, it just got 50 times harder.
Yep, as Chung is actually 2 tenths up on her personal best in the middle sector, so I do think she is going to improve on her 12th position, but let's see. Chung now then, across the line she will go in the Lamborghini, and she goes into 10th position, just slots in front of Kirishima De Rosa there. Speaking of which, De Rosa's on a lap, but he's down on his personal best in the first sector as he makes his way towards the hairpin now, then flicking it in through the right-hander, and now flat out through this left-hander now then, before approaching Young Cow. And he's actually found some time in the middle sector, but he's
Only a little bit.
only 8 thousandths up in the middle sector, so we'll see if he's able to keep that up in the last sector. Might have a tiny bit of switching from that AlphaTauri in front, but not a lot, as De Rosa now then onto the pit straight and across the line he will now go, and he doesn't improve, loses time, and stays in 11th position.
Martin isn't an improvement, but it's not going to matter either way because he is safely through. Everybody who could have knocked out Armarka missed out. They didn't get to start a lap in time. Mochin gets a big improvement going to 10th place. In his final race, he will not start in the back 6.
Indeed, but Rote top, Garma second, and Willows in third, and your bottom 6 who have been eliminated are Jamie Griffiths, Jake Galloway being the biggest shock of them, Andre Videri in his last race for Alfa Romeo 19th, Felix Sontag, Mikolas Gout, and David Cupot, the AlphaTauris, bringing up the back row of the grid there. So we're just going to take a bit of a pause for the moment while Shiri sorts out everything for Q2, but in the meantime you can let us know your prediction on who you believe will be eliminated in the second part of qualifying. But in the meantime, I'm going to mute myself as I just prepare the tweet for Twitter.
Car remained in the session by 33 milliseconds. Those could be 33 milliseconds of fate because it might give him the championship tomorrow. It might save his path to the championship if he wins the title tomorrow. We'll have to wait and see. But now I will have to go as well for a little short break.
Excuse me, that was the worst possible start. Turn out that I'm back there. A bit of a choke there, so excuse me. But yeah, we're about to get going for Q2. I'm not sure if Rob is here at the moment. He did say he needed to go for a bit of a break. But yeah, we'll. I guess we'll get the session going whilst we wait for him to come back. I'm sure he'll let us know when he's back very soon. But anyway, whilst I wait, I'll give you my prediction on who I believe will be eliminated in the second part of qualifying. So I think the people that will be eliminated, I'm going to go for both Hasses, um, not Jamie. I'm also going to go for both Aston Martins and the Alfa Romeo of Quarg, and I'm also going to go for a Lamborghini. I think they are my prediction. I think I'm going to risk it. I think Car will get through into Q3, but we'll wait and see on
I
that.
can't think of a prediction, but I think I will also make it into Q3.
As Rob is back, luckily didn't end up in the same way as me, where I basically choked myself there when I
Oh
came
my
back on
goodness.
when I came back on the microphone there. So I do apologise for that. But yeah, that's pretty much that. As Rahul Patel is going to be the first driver out on track. I didn't actually read people's predictions last time around for Q1, so I do apologise. I'll read your guys' predictions now for Q2. So Franco has said both Astons, both Hasses, Roman and a McLaren. Ra has said both Astons, both Hasses, a McLaren and a Lambo. Fonchanet, both Hasses, both Aston Martins, Quarg and a Renault. And we has said both Mercs, both Astons and both Hasses. So he's gone quite bold with both Mercs there. So, yeah, as Patel is about to start his lap very soon. 6 cars are now on the racetrack now then. As Patel makes his way into the hairpin and making his way down towards the flat-out left-hander, he will go as he flicks the car in before approaching Young Cow, as he'll be starting his lap very, very soon. Question is, though, will he have any traffic to deal with? Because there are still some cars trying to filter their way back out onto the track, but I do think he might just avoid the traffic here. Although, in some cases, as we saw in Q1, Rob, traffic might be a good thing around here.
Only if you get in sector 3, anywhere else on track and you're a gunner.
Yep, as Patel makes his way through turn 2 and then around turn 3. There's still one more car yet to go out, and I think they're just about emerging according to the mini-map. But anyway, Patel doesn't get any traffic on this occasion as he makes his way down towards the double left-hander. 17.071 in the first sector for the Lamborghini driver, although Roke has bettered that with a 16.986, a 17.353 for Quarg in that first sector as Patel makes his way into the hairpin now then as he flicks the car in for the right and then into the left-hander, which you can just lift off through into here. You don't really need to get onto the brakes. You can lift off and then carry the speed going into there. Of course, you saw a little bit earlier on in practice, we saw in the wet conditions, Jamie Griffiths making a driver error through into there. A bit of aquaplaning and losing his rear wing. Luckily, it wasn't his wheel, otherwise his session would have been done with. 50.787 for Patel in that middle sector, but let's see what the last sector is going to entail, and let's see what the benchmark time is going to be. Rahul Patel making his way onto the pit straight and across the line now then will go, and it's a 1 minute 7.428 as Garmisch is starting his lap. Quarg getting a bit of benefit from slipstream, but he's not able to go quicker than Patel. 9/10 off and goes second. Roke goes second, 1/10 off of Patel. He was actually up on
He's
Patel
lost time in the middle sector.
But of course, in the twisty bits, he lost the time to Patel in that middle sector. Here comes Perinin, making his way onto the pit straight and across the line, and he goes into third position. Chatfield goes fastest now by a 1/10 of a second. Wilson across the line, who's done pretty well in qualifying so far, goes into fifth. Another good time for her, gets in front of Quarg. Here comes Lopez, meanwhile, who's 6/10 down on Chatfield in the middle sector. Let's see what the two-time champion is able to manage. Lopez across the line, he will go, and he goes into fifth position. Evan Byrne across the line, he will go, and he slots into 8th on a very good time for him. De Rosa goes 4th. Chung across the line goes 5th. Motrin across the line, he will go, and he goes into 8th position. Willows now goes fastest by 38 thousandths of a second. Car across the line goes into 8th, a little bit better for him compared to his previous qualifying effort. Fraser goes 14th. Anderson now then coming around the final couple of corners in the Aston Martin. His teammate is currently 10th at the moment. He now crosses the line and he goes into 13th. Patel comes into the pits as Gamba is now finishing off his lap. He's 4/10 down on Willows in the middle sector, but he now comes across the line. Where is he going to place himself? And he goes into 6th position. So at the moment, Willow's currently at the top of the moment by 38 thousandths of a second ahead of the man who took the victory away from him in Bahrain. Maybe a future rivalry in the future, perhaps, if McLaren
we'll have to wait and see.
Working. If Ferrari actually get their act together, of course, because we've been saying it throughout the second half of the season, and Yui's been saying the same. If Ferrari were able to do well in the first half of the season, they could have easily been title contenders this season. But unfortunately, in this sport, that's not been the case.
Yeah, sadly. Meanwhile, both of the championship protagonists look like are going to progress to Q3 as things stand. Oka is in it by quite a narrow margin. He's only P9 at the moment.
The Mercedes is currently in the top 10 at the moment, only 9th and 10th though, car ahead of Lopez on this occasion by just under a tenth of a second between the two Mercedes at the moment. Currently in the drop zone, we have Motrin, Wilson, Quarg, Anderson, Byrne, and Fraser. I pointed it out earlier on, but that was a pretty woeful lap for Evan Byrne there, Rob.
Let's see. He's all the way down in 15th. Yeah, that's pretty bad. Of course, it'll be his last qualifying session for Renault, but I don't think he wants to. He wants to get rid of Renault. Sure, he's moving to Red Bull, but I think he wants to get rid of Renault on a high and actually get that car into Q3 because we know that he can be fast in that Renault. He just needs to get the lap nicely.
Yeah, indeed. Obviously, he said something different in the stream chat in practice, but I guess I don't know if he meant that sarcastically or not. But knowing Evan, sometimes it can be serious. But anyway, as now we look at the rest, it looks like an Alfa Romeo is going out. That being Roman Quarg, who's down in 13th. Of course, had a very good Q1 session, but did get benefit from the slipstream. He did get a little bit as well from who was it? It was Rahul Patel, wasn't it, earlier on? But on this occasion, it didn't seem to work out for him this time by Rob.
It doesn't look like his lap was that competitive though, so he's gonna have to try to push for a better effort this time around.
As Quarg now then will make his way up towards the long swooping right-hander now then in the Alfa Romeo. Looking to end his time on Alfa Romeo on a high before he moves to Renault in 2022, taking the vacancy from Evan Byrne there. Wilson's just gone out on track for Haas in her final race for the team before she heads off to the team that we're actually looking at the moment, Alfa Romeo. As Quarg now then just goes down the flat out left-hander. Evan Byrne goes out. He needs to, really, because he's down in 15. Patel and Roke have also gone out onto the racetrack. I wonder if Quarg will get any traffic on this occasion. You normally do get to see that with the second lap. But anyway, Quarg is about to start his next flying lap in the Alfa Romeo. And I do wonder if he's going to get traffic on this occasion.
It'll be interesting to see. Quite a lot of cars who haven't gone out yet on track, of course, so could be touch and go for Quad. But having said that, it doesn't appear anybody will be disturbing him as things stand. Looks like he's gonna get clean air on this one.
Let's have a look at his first sector though, and he's 38 thousandths up on his personal best, so up at the moment. We'll see what he can do though in the remaining two sectors. Currently in the drop zone, as mentioned, is Quarg, looking to see if he can try and get his Alfa Romeo through into the top 10. He's the only Alfa Romeo left, of course, because Verderi is all the way down the field in, I think it was 17th or 19th, I believe he ended up in. Just going to quickly double check on that.
I think it was 19th because Galloway was 18th.
He is 19th, you are correct on that one.
Gamba stayed in the pits on this run. This is curious. Obviously, we'll go out again later, but Quag appears to be quite slow at the minute. Even having said that, he is up, but he's really impeding that Ferrari a lot. As Ferrari will start his lap, Quag, I expect him to improve even without down in Sector 3 here. But let's see what he's got.
I feel will get a decent tow at the beginning of the lap, but he will need to pass him quickly, though, if he doesn't want his lap being ruined. It looks like he's
stays 13th.
He goes 13th, stays in the drop zone for the moment. Here comes Amelia Wilson, who's also up on her personal best. I was looking at the wrong screen there at the time when I reacted there. I apologise, but Wilson loses time.
She didn't improve.
She stays in 12th position, surprisingly, so she lost time in that last sector. Wrote down on his personal best, currently in 4th position as we speak, as he's now going to cross the line now then, and he doesn't improve, stays where he is. Evan Byrne crosses the line and goes into 6th position now then, so he finally gets himself in the top 10, pushes Lopez down into the drop zone. Patel doesn't improve. Carr, meanwhile, up on his personal best. It looks like a very good lap for him, and it is. He goes top.
That was a massive lap.
1 minute 7.184. That's exactly what he needed to do, as his rival Garma has just started his lap. Here comes Joseph Willows, who's down on his personal best. He crosses the line and stays in second place. The top three now separated by 62 thousandths of a second. Here comes Jesus Perina, meanwhile, in the Renault. He's currently in the cusp of the top 10 right now as we speak, and he doesn't improve. He stays in 10th position. Qualifying has been a bit of a weak spot for Jesus Perrin this season, fair to say, but his race pace been a completely different story. Laura Chung crosses the line, goes into 7th place, so improves there.
Fraser.
Currently in the drop zone. Can he improve across the line? And he can, but stays in 16th. Lopez needs to improve, and he goes 4th position. That's a bigger improvement, and now pushes Perrin into the drop zone as a result. De Rosa crosses the line and does not improve, stays where he is. Here comes Julius Anderson, who's down in the drop zone as well, and he stays 15th. He's way off. I wonder if he got held up on his lap there, as Gamba is 2 tenths up on his personal best, but he's going to get held up by this Aston Martin, I think, who's coming into the pits, that being Roland Motrin, and Motrin will peel to the left, and I think, will Gamba have to lift off or not? Let's see if he loses time or not. Gamba, across the line he goes, and he goes into 7th. He's still improving, but I do wonder if there was more time in that. I do wonder if the Aston Martin wasn't in the way.
Nevertheless, I think this should take him safely through. But Mercedes have finally woken up in qualifying this season. They could be on track for the first pole if this pace holds on in Q3, but this is quite a reversal of fortune for Ka. After just making it through Q2 by the skin of his teeth, now he's finding himself fastest. And for the first time this season, Mercedes could be a genuine contender for pole position.
I'll have to see if they can keep that up into the final part of qualifying, though, that is for sure. But if they are contenders for pole, it could bode well for Armar Car's chances of trying to win the Drivers' Championship this season and trying to continue Mercedes' streak of Drivers' Championships and maybe even Constructors' Championships, because we talked about how Ferrari were outsiders. What about the other two contenders, Red Bull and Mercedes? Only 5 points separate the two teams going into this final race. So,
and as things stand, Mercedes would pick up both championships. Hold both championships.
If the grid order was like this in Q3 and if it were to stay like that in the race, then yes, absolutely correct. And either way, I'm looking forward to this
going out.
As Quark's going out, as you've just mentioned there, currently in the drop zone. And we did mention earlier on, he was up on his personal best in the first 2 sectors and did improve, but still hasn't been able to get the Alfa Romeo through into the top 10 yet.
Nope. Looks like he's still got more time on the table there to find. I could say the same for other people as well. Should be interesting.
Yep, as Quark now then makes his way around the long swooping right-hander now. They're making his way down towards the hairpin. And now down towards this left-hander, which you could just lift off the throttle with. Don't really need to brake through into there. Patel has also come out onto the track, as has Roland Motrin and Amelia Wilson. So, yeah, a few cars have gone out on track as we speak. As Quark, I think he could benefit from having some slipstream on this occasion to see if he could try and get himself into the top 10 and potentially push out the man who he's going to be replacing at Renault next season, Evan Byrne. But we'll wait and see on that. 3 minutes to go in this session. Quark about to start his next flying lap and potentially final flying lap. I think it will be his final flying lap, judging by how much time there is left on the clock. But anyway, Quark heading down the first few turns on the racetrack through turn 1, through into turn 2, and then around turn 3 will go the Frenchman. There is no traffic I can see on the exit. Well, there is, but it's quite far away from Quark, so he's not going to get held up. But I think he would have preferred him to be a tad bit closer, so then by the time he gets to the end of the third sector, he can actually use his slipstream to his effect. Meanwhile, he is up on his personal best in the first sector, but only by a few hundredths of a second. He's got an Aston Martin behind him, though. He's just emerged from the pit, so you're hoping that Aston Martin doesn't give him too much bother on his lap as he just goes around the hairpin, and then into the long swooping left-hander will go the Frenchman.
Gamba is once again leaving late. He might not go out with enough time. We'll have to wait and see. Though I think he will be safely through no matter what happens.
Anyway, as Quark now then, let's see what his second sector looks like. He's actually lost time in the middle sector and he's now down on his personal best. If he doesn't find any time in this lap sector, it looks like the Quark is going to get eliminated in his second part of qualifying. But let's see. Quark now then, down the pit straight he goes. He's now going to cross the line in the
track, but here goes Quark.
And he is out. He doesn't improve and he stays in 14th. So Quark is out. Same goes for Wilson.
Wilson.
Stays 13th position. Patel, meanwhile, I think he's safe anyway because he's up in 5th position. But let's see. Patel now then across the line. He will go in the Lamborghini and he doesn't improve, stays where he is. His teammate Chung's about to start a lap. Same goes for Lopez. Motrin up on his personal best, but only goes up to 12th. So he's out of qualifying despite that improvement. Willows is not up on his personal best, but I think he's safe anyway because he's up in 2nd place. He's just coming around Young Cow now then. And now heading up the hill now then towards the penultimate corner, and then the final corner, which is actually this left-hander here. Although people like to say that Young Cow is the proper last corner on the racetrack. As now Willows crosses the line, does not improve and stays where he is. His teammate DeRosa about to start lap. Roke, meanwhile, up on his personal best, but 55 thousandths down on Carr in the middle sector. Roke, across the line he goes, and he goes into third position. So 300s off as he got a yellow flag. Who's the yellow flag for? And it is, who is it? Who's the yellow? Well, it's briefly gone. I think someone went off the track. I think we'll get a replay in a little bit, whoever it was, because it was
Doesn't
a brief
appear
yellow
to be
flag. It
any
was in front.
permanent damage.
Was Chung. She's actually lost the back end going into that fast corner there, and given that she's down in ninth, she could be in a bit of trouble here because she could get knocked down outside the top 10 here, Rob. In fact,
Let's
she
see
was
what
up
happened
on,
here.
Look at this. She was actually up on Carr in the first sector, so she's basically chucked away a potential very good lap here to get to the top of the timing sheets.
Yeah, I was losing some downforce in that dirty air. Let's see. Oh, just that mid corner understeer went wide on X, and there was no saving it from that point. She tried, but yeah, lucky the track came back to her in a sense. But this lap is completely out the bin.
She's
Pushing
very
very
lucky.
hard.
And I would have to say, for the Aston Martin and Mercedes there, they were very lucky they didn't get impeded by Chung there. She came.
Gamba could be getting impeded though.
Doesn't it improve? He stays on a 1 minute 7.184. Anderson, meanwhile, loses time in left sector and he is out. He stays 15th. Byrne, I think that was Byrne, wasn't it, across the line? He stays in 10th. Perinin, we'll have to wait and see if he's able to eliminate his own teammate or not, but we'll see. Lopez, meanwhile, he's now going to come across the line. Let's see what the Argentine can do. He is down on his personal best and he doesn't improve, stays in 5th position. Chung, thanks to that mistake, stays in 9th. Fraser, down on his personal best in the first sector and down in the second sector by 10th of a second. So I think Fraser is going to get eliminated as a result, but we will see as he makes his way up the hill. 9 seconds left, 8, 7, 6, and now we have 5, 4, 3, 2, and now 1 and 0. The checkered flag will be out. Fraser doesn't improve. He is out, stays 16th. DeRosa currently in 8th. He's not improving, and I think he's just done enough to get through into Q3 anyway. DeRosa crosses the line and stays in 8th position. Perinin has actually crossed the line earlier on, so he's out. I didn't actually see him cross the line, but Perinin is out. He's in 11th as Garma's up on Carr in the middle sector, but just like we saw earlier on, makes a mistake into Young Cow and might actually cost him from trying to get to the top of the timing sheets. Let's see. Garma
Now that he needs to be on top right now.
Makes his way onto the straight. He actually found a lot of time in that middle sector to go purple in the middle sector, but he crosses the line and only goes 7th. That mistake costing him a chance of going to the top. But yeah, that is Q2 done with. And once again, Perinin eliminated in the second part of qualifying. So Carr top, Willow second, Roke in third, and your bottom 6, Perinin, Motrin, Wilson, Quag, Anderson, and Fraser. But yeah, as said, Rob, Perinin once again eliminated in Q2.
It was quite close between him and his teammate. Obviously, not on good terms after what happened in Abu Dhabi, the two Renaults. But Perinian won't be starting in the top 10 in Brazil. That's for sure. He had a great drive here in GP2 last season. During the last race, it was known as GP2. And yeah, who knows? He can charge up for the field and try to go for a good result tomorrow. We'll have to wait and see.
Indeed. Well, we're just going to take a brief pause whilst we wait for Yuri to sort out queue number 3. But in the meantime, you can let us know your prediction on who you believe will take pole position, the final pole position of the season for tomorrow's Brazilian Grand Prix. But in the meantime, I'm going to mute myself and get the tweet prepared for Twitter.
As for my prediction, he will think I'm not being serious, but I am 100% serious. I think Kai is going to take pole position. That is my prediction, and I'm sticking with it. They haven't had a pole all season. What better time than this when this would be the pole they need most? And yeah, we're just on a little break right now, so bear with, guys. We'll be back shortly. But do let me know your predictions as well.
Okay, I am now back, and so yeah, Q3 is looking to hopefully be quite an exciting qualifying session. One guy who has been quite quick in both sessions, Joseph Willows. What part could the McLaren driver play in this qualifying session? He has looked pretty quick so far in this session. Could he be a dark horse for pole position? Who knows?
Well, it was especially close, that Q2 session, so it could really go either way,
Could indeed, and it will be interesting to see how that will play out, of course, as mentioned. It'll be interesting to see who will take pole. Both Red Bulls through, both Mercedes through, of course. Both Lamborghinis are through, both McLarens through, and we also have, I think, if I'm not mistaken, we have a Ferrari through and a Renault through. So they are the 10 vying for pole position for the Brazilian Grand Prix, and the two drivers, of course,
It could go to anybody in that top 10, to be frank.
Indeed, and the two drivers, of course, to keep an eye on during this session are the two championship contenders, both Franco Gamba and Amar Khan. It will be interesting to see where those two end up by the end of this session, who will be ahead of who by the end of that one, because that could be something to keep an eye on in the race tomorrow.
Absolutely right. Mercedes are much better in the races than they are in qualifying, so if they can qualify in front of the Red Bulls, that could be quite something. If they can pull away in the race tomorrow, they might not be able to be caught. We'll have to wait and see. It'll be very interesting to see what happens, because this is the most important qualifying session of the year, without a doubt.
Yes, indeed, as we've got the stream back and we are ready for Q3. So without further ado, let's find out who was going to take the final pole of 2021. And I have to ask you, Rob, in fact, I think you've already said it. You said Amar Khan will take pole. So for me, I'm going to go opposite with you. I'm actually going to go Franco Gamba for pole position. I'm actually going to go with the other championship rival to take pole position. So I'm going to go completely opposite on that occasion. But yeah, we'll read.
Fair
I'm
enough.
Read out I'm going to read your guys' predictions once somebody goes out on the track, but we are now in the garage getting ready for the final part of qualifying, the final Q3 of 2021, and in what has been a very, very successful first ever season for the fantasy era, it is fair to say, and who knows what 2022 has in store in January, of course, because we've got that very, very long off season, of course, due to the fact that the 3-week break is merging with the 2-week Christmas break that we usually have. So that's that. As now Patel is getting ready to go out onto the racetrack now, then in the Lamborghini. As in fact, he's been beaten to the punch by Amar Khan, the championship contender, not wasting any time whatsoever, and he's getting out on track. First of all, let's read everybody's predictions out in the stream chat. So Flo has said Franco Gamba will go for pole position. Ra has said Roke pole. Franco says Joseph Willows for pole. Dennis Graff says Amar pole. Von Chanek says Chatfield will get pole. Amar jokingly saying Graff for pole, even though he's not in it. So Xavier Wee, though, says Franco Gamba for pole, and that's that then. So they are the predictions. It's going to be very, very interesting to see who's going to get pole position for the Brazilian Grand Prix, as 7 cars are currently out on the racetrack, so I'm not expecting Carr to get traffic on his first flying lap, and well, Carr really needing to get a very good grid position if he wants to be, if not in front of Gamba, close to Gamba come the race, Rob.
I just want the two of them to start next to each other on the grid. That would be the ultimate event.
Indeed, as Carr is about to start his first flying lap. There's still one more car needing to come out on track, which they have now, so Carr will not get any traffic as he makes his way down towards the first few turns, the Senna S as this is referred to, and now through turn 2 and around turn 3 we will go as Carr
looked a little bit touchy there on the curb. Carr was fighting. Carr was fighting Carr a little bit there. 17.1 in the first sector. That's not so quick. And once again, understeer moment into turn 4.
A bit of oversteer as well in the corner as well, so that's not going to help him out in the middle sector as he did a 17.120 in the first sector, although Patel has gone slightly quicker than him in the first sector.
This is quite big though. Carr's gone faster than Gamba, even though Carr had that error in turn 4.
And he also went quicker than Roke as well, but I wonder if that middle sector is going to come back to bite him. That mistake he made, of course. Let's see, as now Carr makes his way down the flat-out left-hander towards the end of the second sector, which is just before Young Cow, and his middle sector is a 51.505.
That's not good at all.
See what everybody else is doing in that middle sector as Carr makes his way up the hill now then. A
Patel 8 tenths
50.716.
faster.
Patel, what are the two Red Bulls doing? A 52.354. Carr crosses the line and he does a 1 minute 8.185. That mistake definitely costing him quite a bit of time there, as Patel should
Patel's
go
gonna
quicker than
smash
Carr.
it.
Across the line, and he goes quicker by 7 tenths of a second. Garber now, then across the line, he will go in the Red Bull, and he goes into second place. Only just out of Carr, though, surprisingly, as Roke goes second, goes a lot quicker than his teammate Garber, as it's P4 for
Burnt
Burn.
Blizzard to contenders, so does Willows. So does no, Chang doesn't. She goes in third. She goes ahead of Gamba. We have Chatfield, who could be on track for pole. He's only 900s down, but will he be able to take pole with that Ferrari engine dragging him down on the straight? I'm not so sure.
Let's see, it's Chatfield now then making his way down the straight, a little bit down on Patel in that middle sector, but he's now going to cross the line, and he goes fastest by 9 thousandths of a second. He finds his
Wow,
final lap.
Ferrari on. Wow.
He goes top, but Lopez now goes quicker by a 10. For Lopez to the top of the timing sheet. De Rosa, he goes second. He's 16,000
That
off.
came out of nowhere.
So we've got a Mercedes in first, a Mercedes in 10th, but it's Franco Lopez who's currently at the top at the moment.
Mercedes pushing, giving everything they've got to try to get one last pole before the season ends, and it'll be the most important pole of the season because it'll give them the launching pad to try to hold on to the drivers and constructors championship. But for Armarca right now, he's 3 places behind Franco Gamba.
Indeed, and but he's not that far off. Even despite that mistake, he's only a 10th off him in that lap. So I think without that mistake, Rob, he would have been ahead of him.
Yeah, definitely. But of course, he's still got time to sell 1 or 2 more laps, so this should be very entertaining.
Yep, indeed, as Patel is going to get wheeled back into the garage as he's currently in 4th position. Teammate Chung currently in 6th position as we speak, as we look to see what happens. Just give me a moment.
You still there? Oh yeah, sorry.
I am back now. Yeah, I did say I'll be just to give a moment, but I am quickly back. But yeah, that's that. As we've got 9 minutes to go in this session, as Chung has just come back into the garage there, and so now we wait to see what who's going to be the first to go out for the second runs. Obviously, Carr went out first earlier on. Will he be able to do it, or will somebody beat him to the punch this time by? As we currently ride on board with Rahul Patel, meanwhile, in the Lamborghini. I am seeing some movement on the minimap, and it looks like a Mercedes is going out first, and it is once again Carr. But look at this. He's also got his championship contender, Franco Gamba, also coming out at the same time. So the two championship contenders not wasting any time
There is
whatsoever.
a little bit of a gap, though, so there isn't going to be much of them impeding each other here. Unless Scott decides to slow him down on this outlap, though I don't think that's going to happen.
Indeed, as Carr now then is about to start, will be the first to start a lap soon, although he'll be hoping there's no traffic by the time he gets back around. Same goes for Franco
Joe,
as well.
From earlier, you were mentioning that last flat-out left-hander that class as a corner. I was going to say it earlier, but I'm going to say now nevertheless, just so we say it. If they count turn 2 as Austria as a corner, then DFA will count everything as a corner.
Yeah, pretty much, yeah. But anyway, Carr now then coming up the hill as he's about to start his second flying lap of Q number 3, and he's now just coming down the straight. There are a few cars still in the pits as we speak, so Carr will be hoping he doesn't come across any of them as he's about to start.
There is one heading out into turn 1 right now.
Let's see as he comes around the first corner, and it is actually George Roke, in fact, that's coming out. So if he is right in front of Carr, could you say a bit of tactics from Red Bull here, perhaps? But anyway, Carr
doesn't appear to be the case. The gap is a few seconds, which is exactly what Carr needs. In the first sector, he's down, but he will find time here, look, because this time he doesn't get turn 4 wrong.
He should be able to gain some time. Gamba also down on his personal best in the first sector. As Carr now then makes his way through the long, swooping right-hander, he will go on the racetrack. Now into the hairpin, through into the right, and then into the left-hander he goes now then. Lifting off in the middle of that, as now up towards the hairpin he goes. As now He will come down towards the flat out left-hander. Let's see what his middle sector looks like compared to his personal best on this occasion. Now he's not made the mistake. Through into the middle sector, 3/10 up on his
That's
personal best.
massive.
As Garber is still down on his personal best in that middle sector. So
Car's gonna get ahead of him.
is going to get ahead of Garber, but it looks like it's only going to be about 6th position he's going to get, or 7th, I think. So Carr now then across the line, he will go, and it's P7, but he does get in front of Garber, most importantly, and Garber doesn't improve. He stays in 8th position. Here comes Lower
Yeah, there's a
Chung
big
now.
gap to that top 6 as Chung, the last person in that top 6, not only not improving, can she get in the middle sector, and looks like she can't.
She's down on her personal best in the middle sector, currently in 6th position at the moment. Unless she can find some time in this last sector, we will see as Chung now then makes her way down the pit straight now then across the line. She will come and across the line, and she does not improve. Byrne, meanwhile, he's up on his personal best. What can he do? He goes up into 8th, gets in front of Garber, importantly. So there's a car now in between both Carr and Garber. Here comes Patel now then, just making his way around the second to last corner, making his way onto the pit straight. Patel, can he improve on his 4th position? I doubt it, but let's see. And in fact,
he actually can improve on his time, but he's only 2,000 behind Chatfield. Roke is on improvement. Watch out for this one because he could get himself up a place.
Yep, he's down on Lopez, but he could get up into around about 3rd. Let's see. And no, he doesn't. He lost time in the last sector and remains in 5th. That's a bit of a surprise.
You have Willows. This could be one for pole. We were talking about him being a contender. He could be on provisional pole right now. Joseph Willows, not only 3rd. He lost a lot of time in S3.
Lopez doesn't improve. Chatfield doesn't improve either. So Willow's 3rd with that, despite the fact he went 8,000 up on Lopez in that middle sector. I did say it was going to be close, but in the end, Lopez still holding on for the moment. And they are the second runs done with. Lopez still at the top, but 2-3 for the 2 McLaren drivers at the moment, Rob.
McLaren are doing amazing at the moment, but I predicted Cow would take pole for them, but looks like it's Lopez at the minute, and if nobody can beat him, Mercedes will finally get their first pole of the season and quite late on. Like, remember in 2014 when I took Red Bull's first pole of the season in Brazil, Mercedes could still get their first and only pole of the season. And it might just happen if nobody improves on their laps in the remainder of the session.
Yep, indeed, but we'll have to wait and see, of course. There could still be some drivers improving in the last flying lap as Chung gets wheeled back into the garage now then, and we will wait to see what is going to happen in the remainder of this session. Patel now back into the pits, currently in 5th and 7th for the 2 Lamborghinis, but their rivals McLaren currently 2nd and 3rd. If it were to stay like that in the race, McLaren would finish 5th in the constructors ahead of Lamborghini. So that's that as Patel gets wheeled back into the garage. Garber down in 10th at the moment. The whole pack separated by 7/10 of a second. The whole top 10, I should say, not the whole pack. As we wait to see who's going to go out next up on track. Will it be Carr again, or will it be somebody else? So just trying to see if there's any movement on the mini-map. At the moment, there isn't, as Lopez gets wheeled back into the garage. So all 10 are in the pit lane. It looks like Chung's getting ready to go out because the mechanics are getting ready to go for her. So is it going to be her, or is she going to get beaten? Let's see. As they lift the car up the jacks, and she is going to get out there first. So Chung looking to see if she can try and improve on that 7th position.
Yeah, indeed. It'll be interesting to see what happens. Of course, you'll be hoping she has no more big oversteer moments this time around. But yeah, she'll be out the first one for this last lap. And it should be an entertaining last 3 minutes of the session.
Yep, as Chung now then just going up the hill. Still the only one on track until now, because Garber has just gone out onto the racetrack as he's looking to try and find an improvement, as he's all the way down in 10th position at the moment. Not boding well, considering his rival Carr is ahead of him on the grid at the moment. And if it were to stay like that in the race, Carr would win the championship. But anyway, Chung now then just going around the hairpin now then. As Chung now then will go flat out through the left-hander now then she will go, as she's about to start a lap very soon. Still 5 cars in the pits right now as Chung goes up out of Young Cow now then up the hill. She will go now then, making her way around the left-hander she goes, as she will now start her lap now then, heading down the pit straight and across the line. She will now go to start her lap. As let's see if there's going to be any traffic. There is some movement in the pit lane, but I think she is going to be fine. I think she will have a clean lap. As Chung now then through around turn 3 she goes, and she will come up towards the end of the first sector now then. So let's see what the first sector is like compared to her personal best, and she's down by a tenth of a second. So far, Chung maybe not on an improvement at the moment.
Nope, but of course she can still recover in that middle sector if she hooks up these corners nicely. Because sector 1 is quite short, not much action in it. So the big gains are sector 2, depending on your cornering performance, and sector 3, depending on your engine performance.
Yep, indeed. As Chung now then approaches the end of the second sector, I think it's a Red Bull that's in front of Chung. I think it might be Garber, I think, that's in front. But Chung still not improving in the middle sector, so I don't think this is going to be an improvement for
Nah,
her
it's
on her
not gonna happen.
final flying lap of the season. As she now comes down towards the pit straight now then, and Chung is going to cross the line now then. Let's see what she can do. And she does not improve. She stays where he is. Garma, meanwhile, is up on his personal best, and he's 92,000 off
He
his fellow
could get
Franco. So
himself onto the front row, maybe.
But across the line, what can he do? And he goes 6th. He gets in front of Carr, so it's P6 for him at the moment. A 10th off of Lopez. That top 6, very, very close indeed. Patel, meanwhile, across the line, he will go, and he doesn't improve. Carr is not on an improvement, and he stays in 9th position. So if it were to stay like that in the race, Gamba would win the championship. Byrne, meanwhile, comes down the pit straight and across the line. He will go, and he doesn't improve. Willow's just starting his lap. Same goes for Chatfield. DeRosa up the hill. He's 1.1
He's
seconds
made a
off. So
mistake.
I do wonder if he's made a mistake somewhere on the racetrack. And just trying to look, I think it was up here. In fact, yes, it was. He just had a bit of a twitch going through into that right-hander there. So that's where the mistake has occurred for DeRosa. And it doesn't look like he's going to improve. But it looks like he may be on the front row, though. A good qualifying for the McLaren drivers regardless. As
For the time
DeRosa
being.
the line, doesn't improve, stays in second place. Lopez is not up on his personal best, but at the moment it's looking like he's going to get his first pole position since last season, as now Lopez making his way down the straight now then, and Franco Lopez is going to cross the line, and he doesn't improve, stays where he is. Roque is up on his best, he goes fastest, he beats Lopez, he denies Mercedes a pole position.
Oh, he's taking it away from Merck.
Lucas snatched it away right at the end with a 1 minute 7.234. That is a good time for George Roque, as Willows now then comes around the left-hander now then flat out. He will go now then as Joseph Willows now goes up through Young Cow. He's got a Renault in front, so he could use his slipstream in front, but I don't know if it's going to be enough for him to improve. He's 1/10 off of Roque in the middle sector, so he might do, but I think it's not going to be enough.
Could be able to do it.
I think the Renault is coming in, so I don't think Willows is going to improve. Across the line, he will go, and nope, he stays in 4th position. Chatfield, across the line,
Chatfield will finish this session. That's it.
So, right at the death, it is George Roque who has taken pole position for tomorrow's Brazilian Grand Prix. So, we're going to allow you to see how he did the lap. Enjoy it.
Merck aren't getting a pole this season, but at least they got front row starts. So here we go, Roque's pole lap.
You are currently P1, it's a great lap. Only sector you're not fastest in at the moment is the last sector by a couple of hundredths. We can't afford to slow down too much.
That is how George Roque took pole position for the Brazilian Grand Prix. He was actually down on Lopez in the middle sector, but was able to recover it in the last sector to snatch it away from him by 35 thousandths of a second. A very good lap there for George Roque, and he gets the final pole of 2021. And, well, that could bode crucial for their Constructors' Championship hopes, Rob.
Honda have clearly done a brilliant job with the engine, out-dragging the Merc in the last sector, denying Merc pole position, and George Roque is on pole for tomorrow's Brazilian Grand Prix. He's P1 with Franco Lopez second, and row 2 will be a McLaren affair with De Rosa ahead of Willows. Incredibly close, the top 7 within 0.2 of a second. Afterwards, it's Chris Chatfield in 5th, Will Patel P6, and Franco Gamba last in that top 7 in P7, of course. Laura Chang is in P8, Varmar Khan 9th. He'll be starting right behind Franco Gamba in terms of position. Obviously, Chung will be on the other side of the grid, and Everett Byrne will be in P10.
Yep, indeed. If it were to stay like that tomorrow, Red Bull would win the Constructors and Gamba would win the Drivers' Championship if it were to stay like that for tomorrow. But we have got a race on our hands here, and I am looking forward to that one indeed. Well, there you have it then, guys. That has been it from the final qualifying session of the season. I hope you've enjoyed it. It has been a very exciting qualifying session, and even Yuri pointed out that Roque even locked up during his lap, but was able to recover it in the last sector.
Yeah, I saw that turn 4.
Indeed, but we're in for a very good race tomorrow, that is for sure. Hopefully it's tomorrow, of course. It depends on the snow situation with Yuri, of course, because it is snow season over in Finland. But anyway, guys, that has been it. I hope you have enjoyed it, so thank you all for watching. I've been JW97, he's been Robert Ionescu, and we will hopefully see you tomorrow at 5 p.m. GMT, or maybe Thursday, depending on the weather situation. Hopefully tomorrow at 5 p.m. GMT for the 71-lap Brazilian Grand Prix, where both championships will be decided. Till then, take care.